Here's something that might surprise you. Research shows that 93% of our first impressions have nothing to do with the words we say. Today, we're exploring the hidden psychology of likability and what science reveals about those people everyone seems drawn to.
Well, that's fascinating. And it really challenges what most of us assume about making connections. What else did the research uncover?
The work by Teru Nakashima identified 7 key practices, and the first one is pretty unexpected. It's all about voice quality. Not what we say, but how we say it. Studies show that vocal warmth accounts for 38% of someone's initial impression of us.
Hmm. You know what's really interesting about that? There's actually evolutionary psychology behind it. Our ancestors used voice patterns as instant indicators of friend or foe.
Right. And modern neuroscience backs this up. Brain scans show that warm, steady voices activate the same neural pathways as physical comfort and safety. It's like we're still running ancient social software.
That makes me think about how different cultures interpret these voice signals. Have you seen the research on cross-cultural voice perception?
The data is fascinating. While specific preferences vary, studies show that regardless of culture, voices rated as trustworthy share similar acoustic patterns. But let's talk about the second practice, gratitude. Research indicates that people who express genuine appreciation are rated 30% more likable.
Oh, that reminds me of this workplace study where teams that practice structured gratitude saw a 50% increase in reported connection and collaboration.
Exactly. And it ties directly into the third practice, flexibility. Nakashima's research showed that people who demonstrate cognitive flexibility score 40% higher on likability assessments.
So, how do you maintain that flexibility when faced with strongly opposing viewpoints?
Well, the key finding is approaching differences with curiosity rather than judgment. Studies show that asking genuine questions increases perceived empathy by 76%. It's like building a muscle. The more you practice engaging with different viewpoints, the stronger your flexibility becomes.
And I imagine this connects with the fourth practice, kindness. The research on this is pretty compelling.
Oh, absolutely. Studies show that witnessed acts of kindness create what researchers call a moral elevation response, releasing oxytocin in observers and making them 60% more likely to engage in prosocial behavior themselves.
That's fascinating how one person's kindness can create this ripple effect through social networks.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The fifth practice focuses on physical health. Research indicates that people who maintain regular exercise routines are rated 27% more approachable by strangers.
Well, that's unexpected. How does physical health translate to likability?
It's about energy and vitality. Studies show that well-rested, physically active people display more positive micro-expressions, maintain better eye contact, and demonstrate more engaged body language, all key factors in likability.
That makes me think about those people who seem to naturally radiate positive energy.
The sixth practice, humility, actually explains part of that. Research shows that leaders who practice humble leadership see 29% higher team performance and are rated as 32% more likable by their colleagues.
And I'm guessing this ties into the growth mindset research from Stanford?
Precisely. Studies show that people who view challenges as opportunities for growth are rated 45% more likable than those with fixed mindsets. And this leads us to the final practice, selflessness.
The research on prosocial behavior and well-being is pretty compelling here, too.
Studies show that regular acts of selflessness increase both the giver's and receiver's serotonin levels by up to 22%. But here's what's fascinating. Observers of selfless acts experience similar neurochemical benefits.
So, these 7 practices actually create a kind of social contagion effect?
Exactly. The research shows that when people consistently practice these behaviors, they create what scientists call positive social cascades. Their likability actually influences the likability of people around them.
That's such a powerful insight to end on. That being more likable isn't just about individual benefit.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's deep dive. Remember, Likability isn't about manipulation, it's about authentic connection. The science shows that when we focus on genuine growth in these areas, the social benefits happen naturally.
And perhaps that's the most valuable takeaway. That authentic likability comes from developing real qualities that help us connect more meaningfully with others.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of All About Self-Esteem channel. Until next time, keep exploring these practices and discovering your own path to meaningful connections.